Enlightenment, the place from where all history comes, of people who were so ahead of their time they were sending text messages when they only had drums. Out of the starting blocks, we are off to an early lead as world travelers and explorers, sharing our philosophies, creating universities and structures that would make the world stop and wonder before passing the baton on to the relay's next runner in the Caribbean Sea, who lost a bit of ground through the Middle Passage and slavery, but no one said that the race would be easy, so for over 400 years they continued to run, limping through the pain, knowing that cramps will come and it's going to hurt sometimes, but you've got to focus and keep going through the plantations, the lynching, and the hate, even when the spectators in the stands call you other than your name, because it is not what we are called, but what we answer to that is important. Victory is an uphill climb, and we have to continue to rise like Lazarus, knowing that even the slightest of steps can mean so much. Sister Rosa Parks sat down to stand up, so I can't give up as I try to make sense of this baton that's been placed in my hand, as I struggle just to be accepted as a man in this world that is more concerned with whether or not I'm endowed down south, and I'm all about being endowed in the places where it counts, in my family and my community, because knowledge of self is like a garden. If it is not cultivated, you cannot reap a harvest. Victory will come to those who choose to run the hardest, and it really doesn't matter if you know the secret, because not everyone will believe enough in themselves to do something with the information. No one was made to be a spectator in life. We are all the active participants in the race to fulfill our destiny. So when the baton comes, take it and run, because failure isn't a crime, but aiming too low is. Because if you reach for the top of a tree, you might never get off the ground, but if you shoot for the stars, you might at the very least get to the top of that tree, and I might not get to the finish line with you. I might not get to that finish line with you, but I will continue to strive to carve out my own space before passing this baton on to a new generation of runner, confident in victory, because success, it runs in my race. At least 3 times just to make sure that I was hearing him right, and each time he repeated the same 3 words: I have cancer. To this day, I'm still in shock, and every time I found the words to try to talk with him, he's been busy or probably just avoiding me. The thought of him passing has haunted me like a recurring nightmare, and there he was, opening the door to a flood of emotions and questions I couldn't find the words to ask. I was glad to still have him, but pissed at the cards that he'd been dealt. I sat in the awkward silence, growing increasingly angry with myself and my inadequacies. I wanted to tell him how much those 3 words had affected me, but silence was all that I had. Then, like a precious artifact slipping through a toddler's hands, he broke it, shattering it with the soft tone of his voice as he said that today someone will find out that the person that they are living for is dying. And right now as we speak, there's a woman trying to find the words to tell her children that she's contracted HIV, and tonight a phone receiver will hit the floor as a mother learns that her son will never return through her door. It doesn't take much for our entire lives to change. That split second when we look away to try to reach our cell phone, the electrical fire in the middle of the night, none of us knows what's next in our lives, and sometimes we just need a wake-up call to remind us of how precious every moment is. I've never felt such pride and joy in my kids. I've noticed how differently the air smells in the morning, and I've slowed down, taking time out for family and friends, because in the end, this is it. Tomorrow might be too late, and at the end of the day, life is worth more than paychecks. It's about people and experiences. So I've gone skydiving and hot air balloon riding, placing ticks to the left and lines through the items on my bucket list. He said that those who live with hope always die happy, and that he was hoping for the best, no longer taking people and things for granted. And through his own admission, he was once too much of a man to show his emotions, but now shows love like a film on life's movie screen. And even though he was never able to do it before, every morning before his wife leaves through the door, he lets her know that he loves her more than he did yesterday and less than he will should he be blessed with it tomorrow. And knowing him, that hit me like a kick to the ribs in mixed martial arts. This man who had always been so hard was now pouring out his heart like a libation. And I couldn't understand why he seemed so happy while I couldn't stop myself from crying. We hugged, a manly hug, as he said confidently in my ear that you will never truly live until you can live like you were dying.